Welcome back. We're back. Two fans, one Paul. Myself, David Quist. Lovely co-host, KB Kirk Brown. It's hate week. It's the battle for Paul Bunyan. It's in a couple days already, which is crazy. A night game. It's big game greens for state. We're going all greens, which we should. Don't wear those black jerseys again against this team after that spanking a couple years ago. That video got me hyped. Nick Marsh was in the video for the jersey reveal, KB. That gets me going a little bit. You know, my optimism right now for the season is about a 4 or 5. So I know we're going to dive right into the games, but throw it out to you out in Phoenix, and we'll see how things are going.
I honestly can't believe your optimism is that high with how you guys have played the last handful of weeks. I mean, you haven't gotten a win in a month and a half?
I don't know. We've lost 4 in a row.
Yeah. So, no, enough with the ribbing. But, yeah, it's a fun week, obviously. This is a long and fun rivalry. I mean, very intense rivalry. The thing I want to start off saying is I hope there's no ridiculous extracurriculars. I expect some personal fouls, some late hits, but I just don't want another brawl at the end. I don't want anyone starting stuff. I think the most ridiculous thing I've seen all week is both fan bases blaming the other team that it's just their fault, that Michigan's at fault for everything because they egg stuff on, and then MSU's actually at fault as everything because Michigan is, the perfect boys. And I mean, it's just a wild rivalry, and I just hope we can keep it, between the lines. Let's stop with all the extra stuff after the game ends, and keep everyone safe. There's been some pretty dangerous hits the last couple of years, both sides. And, I just don't want any players injured from this. That's my one big thing that I want from this weekend, whatever the way it plays out.
Nothing beats a tunnel incident, KB. We won't never forget. And,
yeah, it was all Michigan's fault for
it was both.
Two players running up the tumble.
Yeah, I mean,
I guarantee they were talking shit, right? That's the thing is like, Michigan fans being like, there's no reason why they did that. Well, they're probably pissed off and annoyed, but like also they ganged up on one player and a second player came in. Like, it's just bad, right? It's just ridiculous, and like anyone trying to defend either side is just stupid. It's stupid and isn't helpful. It's a really excited for this game. We got a good list of games this weekend too outside of that, but it's always fun to just be able to focus in on our game. Quist is going to be tailgating all day. He's hosting. He's doing the food, and it's a home night game for him. It's going to be a brisk,
we'll have the TV. It'll be a perfect fall day, KB. Cloudy, no rain, knock on wood. It's going to be 50, 40. It's a perfect Michigan fall day, KB. I could use a little sunshine, but I love the fall weather. I'm going to be dialed in. I don't know how I'm going to be feeling going to the game. I'm not really optimistic, but hey, it's a long tailgate. Cornhole will be played. The pigskin will be thrown around, and some wings will be eaten. But the tailgate and being with the friends and just being in East Lansing, I know you've been there, KB. It's a good time. The game always makes it better, but the tailgate is something I look forward to every year. So it will be a good time for sure.
Yeah, I'm going to kick us off with one fun fact about this series, and then we'll get into kind of an idea I had earlier in the week, and we'll talk Michigan and MSU first. So in every year ending in 2, so 82, 92, 02, 12, and 22, Michigan has won over the last 50 years, which I just think is a really fun fact. I saw it was like the last 50 matchups, and every 2-year Michigan won, which I just think is a little... Yeah, I would like to hear your fun fact.
This is probably very well known, KB. The team that runs the ball usually wins. I think I heard it on the radio. It was 48 out of the last 55, so it's a pretty good stat, has won. Whoever runs the ball better wins the game, which is usually what we all know about this game, but putting a number to it is actually pretty cool to see. So all but, 7 times, the team that runs the ball, controls the trenches, wins the game.
Yeah, and there's also a caveat to that, right? Because usually when you have the lead, you can run the ball. You don't have to throw as much, so that usually leads to more rushing yards.
True.
So that's part of it too. But anyway, my idea for the start of this, and we'll talk about our own teams, but we know our own teams pretty well. We cover each other's teams. Obviously, every single week we give predictions. So I'm going to start this off, Quist. If you are Michigan, what are the weaknesses and areas to attack on MSU to try to win this game? Like if you were like, I'm going to build a Michigan game plan to beat MSU, what is it this week?
Yeah, so first and foremost, knowing how weak the O-line is, I'm blitzing, and Wink already does that. I think the blitz game, because you want to get Childs happy feet. He was good against Indiana, but the 2 games before that, he got happy feet and his eyes came up. But I think, get him to move. Our O-line's not that good already, so I would blitz a lot if I'm Wink. And on third down, you got to figure it out because that's where Michigan's defense has kind of struggled. If you're going to at that point, you might as well play zone because I think State has to really focus on the receivers. So play smart zone, play man to man if you need to. If you got a guy that can cover Marsh, we're going to blitz a lot, and then on third down, we're going to double Marsh and make them earn it with the other receivers because we know they can't run the ball. On offense, we're running the ball down your fucking throat if I'm Michigan. I would say Bryce throws the ball 20 to 25 times. I want to see your running backs, Marshall and is it Haynes, right? If I'm wrong. Those guys should be get 30, 40 carries a game. I think you guys could really get 4 or 5 a pop like you've had all season. I don't know what the scoring will be for the game, but I can see running backs really carrying the load. And if Bryce needs to run and scramble a little bit, he's elusive enough to do that. But I really think if I'm Sharon and your coordinator, I am leaning on this run game. If you need to take some play action and shots, you can, but I think the run game and maybe some screens and slants is how you can beat this team because we can't tackle, we can't play zone. It may be a trick play here or there with Andrew Marsh because he's fast. You have McCulley. If I'm a smart coordinator, I'm going to do a pitch or a double reverse to McCulley, and he throws up to somebody because he's played quarterback at Indiana. So if that happens...
He did that last week, by the way.
Well, if they do it successfully in front of my face... Just remember that I said it here Thursday night, 10:23 at 9:47 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, the right time. That's what I would do. Run it down your throat, a couple of trick plays. Don't let Bryce make mistakes. And then on defense, blitz. And on third down, double Marsh because that's obviously State's best player. I don't think State will be able to run, so we'll see what happens. But I would be aggressive on defense and then on offense, lean on my running game, which is going to be really good against a weak defensive line.
Perfect. Yeah, I appreciate that. And like I said, we'll talk about our own teams. But so for me, if I'm MSU, I think I kind of have 2 ways for the offense to kind of move and then kind of 1 way directly for the defense to move. So starting with the offense, you got to screen to wide receivers, screen to running backs, get the tailbacks out of the lineup fast. You want 3-step drops. You want 5-step, quick passing movements, get in on slants, force the DBs to tackle, Nick Marsh and Kelly. Michigan struggled a bit with that at times, is tackling receivers one-on-one, and Marsh is an absolute demon to take one-on-one tackling. So I'd really run, if they're giving you free access stick routes, take them. Anything's a good positive down. You want to stay ahead of the sticks with this team. And then, like I said, screen them to death. I expect a bunch of tunnel screens. And then lastly, you got to run Childs in this game. Michigan struggled with the run game when they played Mateer, struggled tackling him in space. Childs has that movement capability. I'd expect a bunch of QB powers, QB counters, fake jet touch passes to QB sweep. Get the ball in his hands because he's your second best player, I'd say, behind Marsh, especially athletically. I'd say make your weakness. Michigan's strength is their D-line, front 7. Your weakness is your offensive line. Don't let that be a factor. USC got the ball out of Maeva's hands extremely quickly. I think that's kind of an exact blueprint on what you need to do. And then obviously hurry up. MSU runs a lot of 12 personnel. They have 2 tight ends on the field with Velling and Mazunas. I would say split Velling out a little bit and run a little bit of wide because Michigan will match 12 personnel with a bare front, so they'll have 5 defensive linemen, 2 linebackers, and so that puts Michigan in kind of a bubble on covering people, and then you have a Velling versus linebacker matchup where they refuse to go with nickel. It's what killed them against USC. See if you can exploit that, because you can actually run out of 12 where USC kind of refuses to run, so I think there's an opportunity there. And then the last thing is you got to run on odd downs. You really have to. If it's 3rd and 8, I'm handing it off.
Last year we did that. Nick Carter had a game.
Half of your guys' offense was running on 3rd and 10 and 3rd and 8 and 3rd and 9, and Michigan's running an exotic weird blitz. And if you catch one guy out of position, you get a crease in the defense. So I'd really expect that to be some QB draws. Let the aggressiveness. And then the last thing is you have to throw every single trick play possible in your arsenal. Whatever you have possibly able to call. Whatever weird 3rd-string quarterback that was a former quarterback that's now a receiver that is your running back. Whatever you have, because you're coaching for your life, Jonathan Smith. You can't leave anything out there. And sorry, I said lastly, there's one more thing. Double moves. I would start early, maybe even the first play of the game. I'm double moving a cornerback. I'm doing a sluggo route, out route with an outside and out and up. I'm running a sluggo. I'm getting double moves. Michigan's cornerbacks have been really, really, really aggressive this year on attacking it. So that's how I do it offensively. Defensively, I think it's all about early down success rate. You look at how Michigan struggled. Their average distance to go on third down in their 2 losses was over 9.5 yards. So the other teams are winning first down. So I'm blitzing, run blitzing, being extremely aggressive, flustering Bryce. His eyes can drop at times, especially on early downs and forcing third and longs. I know that's always kind of the idea, but you have to make it you can't sit back on first and second down. Michigan will grind yards and they'll get into third downs. And then on those, third and longs, I really think dropping into deep zone coverages and forcing Bryce to check down and move the ball down the field. Michigan hasn't been good at that. They haven't been good on third down. You want 0 explosive in this game. 0 explosive pass plays, 0 explosive run plays. So early down, you need to be really aggressive to put them in third and longs and then force them to make a bunch of first downs. I think that's kind of the thing. And then the last thing about the game plan overall, do not go for it on dumb downs. And I know that's going to sound stupid. Michigan might have the worst punter in the country.
Really?
He is averaging 35 yards a punt on actual puntable balls. He had a 53-yarder that was a line drive and extremely returnable last week. He has really, really, really struggled. A lot of times in games, Michigan will punt from their 20 and teams get the ball around the 50, if not in plus territory. So the fourth, you're at the 40. Should I go for it on fourth and 2? No, punt it, pin Michigan deep because you're going to get the ball back at the 40. Because Michigan struggled in those situations deep in their own end zone. So that would be one of my keys to the game.
Special teams, special players.
All right, Quist, we gave each other's kind of point of view on what our team's weaknesses is. What are you expecting this game? Get a little preview, and we'll get over it. We'll give our predictions.
You kind of said it, KB. Feed the receivers. Screens. You have 3 good receivers, maybe 4. You got McCray, who's a gadget guy. Obviously, Nick Marsh, NFL talent. I think Kelly's pretty good, maybe a late rounder who's elusive as well. Good in the punt return game. I wish we had Alante Brown, too. He's a speedster. He got hurt, unfortunately, in warm-ups earlier in the year. So use the passing game as the running game. Like you said, is it screens? Is it slants? Is it jet passes? Because we know we cannot run the ball well. I know we're still going to try to run the ball into a pretty good front 4, front 7, and it's going to be frustrating. I think the second leading rusher last week was Frazier.
I think
Todd Tolliver with 13 yards.
I think if you run it with Childs, you can open up. I think that's
But he's been banged up all. He's been getting banged up.
Yeah, but you have to. You can't not. You have to in this game. That's what I'm saying. Is it's the end of the season. This is your last game of the season that matters.
True.
Because he'll probably be fired if he doesn't win this game. So
he might
Childs
be fired
needs
still.
to have 7 carries in the first half. Called runs where you're pulling guys for him, because that's what Michigan struggled with. I think you can run the ball that way.
Fair enough. And then
obviously on odd downs.
Yeah, and obviously, like I said, the passing game as running. I think getting slants in there, getting bubbles, getting screens set up, and then when you do that, you can fake a screen for a fade. You can do a sluggo, like you said, KB. Really use the passing game as a run game, and then when you bend, if you're doing it successfully, I can't speak. Take a shot. Maybe do a reverse, do a backward screen pass, and then do a double throw.
I think a double pass to the QB to Childs here would be a great play.
For sure, Philly special kind of thing. And I know they're going to try to establish a run, and I think getting Childs in there works. If he gets banged up, I feel okay with Alessio, the backup. He's decent. He's been okay after his 2 pick sixes in his career. Now, on defense, KB, I don't know what we can do. Can't sit in a zone right. We can't get a blitz quarterback. I don't think Mendoza was even hurried once last week, which is a problem. I know Indiana's probably a little bit better than Michigan, but still, you got to make him run around. You got to make Bryce get uncomfortable. Hit him once or twice. I don't want any late hits, but if you're close enough, you got to touch him, because that makes a difference in a game, makes him feel uncomfortable and get a little happy feet. So find a way to get some pressure. I don't know what the secondary can do. I have no faith in that right now, and having no blitz and no rush does not help them. So exotic blitzes, maybe play vanilla, keep it simple, and just tackle and make plays on defense. That's what we got to do. I can see it being a low-scoring game. The spread is 14.5. I think we can cover that, knowing how weird these games can be. I don't think we can win. If we did, it would be great, considering how the last 2 years have gone, the last 3 years since the 2021 game. Not a prediction quite yet, but I do think we can cover.
Yeah, that's really fair. I think there's opportunities for MSU here. Blake Frazier is the starting left tackle. He's He's making his first start. His dad was a U of M alum, really good tackle, Steve Frazier. So I think there's some some possibility there that maybe he gets a little overwhelmed by the moment. You're also having a true freshman quarterback. One of your star receivers is a true freshman. Your running back, depending on Hayes' like kind of you're going to be your more 1A guy, depending on how Haynes is health wise. Is a redshirt freshman. I mean, it's a lot of young guys. Your right tackle is a redshirt freshman. Your right guard is a redshirt freshman. So there's a lot of young guys for this rivalry. So there's kind of an opportunity here for MSU. And I think your guys' run defense is better. So I think the one thing I don't want to see is Bryce Underwood run. Because MSU, look, you can say it, they go after Michigan's. They try to injure Michigan's quarterbacks whenever they play late hits, when games are close, when games are blowouts. It's always a 3-step late hit on the quarterback. Everything else is kind of fair game, but like purposely hitting quarterbacks late in the blind side when they don't have the ball and the ball's out has been a theme over the course of the last 5 years for Michigan State teams. It's actually the reason why Michigan ran the score up to 49 when they were planning on kneeling it, because there's a late hit on the quarterback at the end of the game when the ball was on the other side of the field. So I'm nervous about injury potentially for him. If he's running a lot, that there's some shot opportunities that could knock him out of this game. You know, just a half step late, not even saying anything drastically dirty, but I've seen those drastically dirty plays and can't imagine if you actually run them here. So I think Michigan has a lot to play for. I think they got to play a consistent game plan. I think there's opportunities in the run game, but I think first and second down are got to be the winning downs in this game. Like I said, that's kind of been what it's been all season. Bryce Underwood's EPA on late play downs, I looked up, like the passing chart is not great. Partially that is due to drops. Partially that is due to his eyes often lowering whenever he sees pressure. He knows it's third down, him forcing throws. So this is also a big game for him, homegrown kid. So I'm nervous about how this offense performs early. I think as the game goes on, they'll settle down a little bit, but I think a lot of emotions may lead to some turnovers in this game. Secondly, defense. I mean, I think you got to play a very vanilla game. I think your offensive line is horribly atrocious, and the only thing that's going to kill you is Childs scrambling out of the pocket and making plays with his legs and his arms late in, play clock situation, late in game clock after the play's been going on for 5 or 6 seconds. Michigan's really struggled at tackling QBs, running QBs, so don't be surprised if he escapes some here. But I think there's a lot of opportunity for Michigan to hold this team down. You guys have been really good scoring opening drives, but after that, your team has been awful the last handful of weeks. So I think there's a big opportunity here to really quiet down everything if you can get off to a good start and slow this offense down. But I do expect some blitzes, but I'd still only want to rush forward. Don't give Childs any easy throws, make everything kind of dirty and muddy. And defensive backs, especially secondary-wise, got to play the ball in the air better. These are, especially Marsh, he can high point a football. If you don't contest it well with him, I think there's opportunities there. But I'm really think Michigan can control this game. I think 14's kind of really the line. I think 2 touchdowns is kind of what I would predict this game at. Being in East Lansing, being a weird game, being a true freshman QB, starting on the road in his home state, I think is a lot of weird things for them. It's Bryce's first rivalry game. He hasn't been good on the road this season at all, especially on his 2 road tests. He was fine against Nebraska. They didn't ask him to do a lot, but still a little concerning that he's been so poor on the road. So really interesting to see what happens there.
Yeah, I have a couple of things. I think, listening to a lot of podcasts on radio this week. In the game, obviously you guys have Ohio State, and that game's probably the same. They're very similar, maybe slightly more. It's just different. The hits are a little bit harder. There's a little bit more after plays. The atmosphere, it's an in-state rival. There's going to be more angst. And a lot of freshmen and transfers don't know. We've been around this our whole life, KB. We know, the Mark D'Antonio area for us and how he understood Michigan State fans right away, and maybe that's what's missing with Smith. But the fans are ready to, be into this game. I think the crowd could be lively. We want this game, even though the situation sucks. And it's kind of weird being around the transfer portal period and a new coach when you got to teach these guys about this rival. When for 10 years, we were, all the quotes from Mark D'Antonio. It probably becomes over the fall. The stake game when Michigan put a stake in the field and then we absolutely buried them. And then the Kenneth Walker game, and then the game after that in 22 where Michigan just destroyed us. And then obviously the tunnel incident. There's all these things and all this history. There's way more. We could go way back about how Michigan.
23 was the year we destroyed you.
Yeah, we could even go further back, 60, 70, 80 years ago when Michigan didn't even want Michigan State in the Big Ten, which actually is a great read if Michigan State fans have never, if you don't understand why a lot of Michigan State fans hate Michigan, it goes way, way back. Including,
which is what Oregon and Washington funnily did enough to.
I know, right?
Washington State and Oregon State, funnily enough, the state colleges getting kind of the shaft and the entering new conferences.
Yeah, but there's a lot of history, and I mean, KB's a good Michigan fan, and he's pretty honest, but there's a lot of fucking asshole Michigan fans, and it goes both ways. There's a lot of State fans that way, too, but obviously I'm going to be biased as a State fan. So I'm just curious to see how everybody reacts. That's a transfer and indoor freshman, because it's a game that's different. There's going to be, like I said, hits, and they'll get chippy. I would love to see Smith have a little emotion. I know that's not his thing, but just a little bit. I think we covered, KB. This is going to be a 7-point, 10-point game. I think Michigan will win, but I wouldn't be surprised if we had some weird chances if we can control third downs like last year, because last year we pretty much were controlling the game until the fourth quarter, and then we just pissed out our leg. So I can see that happening if Childs has a game like I did against you on NCAA 26, where I was dialed in. It was a shootout, but I don't think that'll happen in real life. But I think Childs and Marsh and those guys, they understand it. It's the second time playing this game. It's at home. The crowd and the fans want a win, and a lot of us want Smith gone. If he wins this game, things could change for sure. I think we cover. It's close. It's a weird game. Special teams could be big with Eckley in the kicking game. I'm ready to be locked in, and my optimism isn't too high, but you never know in this game, KB. There's been odd games here and there throughout the years where State has 100%. Won when they shouldn't.
Yeah, and is that just the D'Antonio era? So we're kind of all, prefaced in that. We don't know. But I will say one of the cool things is the Big Ten Network did replay the 2004 triple overtime game that Michigan and MSU played, which was really, really fun to watch. I watched that last night. With all that being said, yeah, I think Michigan does not cover here. I think this is going to be a weird, gross game. I think Michigan's offense is kind of a big point of concern for me with how they hopefully don't get overwhelmed by the moment. Like you said, like there's not a lot of players on Michigan's offense that played in this game last year. They don't know the intensity. They don't know what it's like to play in this rivalry game. I don't remember the quote, but someone said something similar to you. They're like, dude, it took me like 3 drives to realize like this is how hard people are playing in this game. And do we maybe lose part of that because of so many transfers and stuff and guys not knowing the program and way more freshmen and sophomores playing compared to back in the day when it was redshirt juniors a lot, redshirt seniors, especially for MSU who are developing these guys year over year. Maybe, but I mean, I think there's just always that level of intensity when these guys are, bickering with you, when you probably have people at MSU who are Michigan fans and people who are at, U of M and they're MSU fans, right? It's people go to all sorts of colleges and root for, who their family grew up rooting for. And I just think that it's a cool moment and it's a cool opportunity for the state to hopefully come together because it like we said, Quist, it's hate week. We don't like you guys. I want nothing more than Michigan to win by 700 points on Saturday. I hope you guys don't get a first down. I hope all your players just get a sickness for the day and you can't even put a team out there, right? I don't want an injury. Make sure that's clear. I just they all have the cough and can't play well. But that's the realness of this rivalry. But again, it's all in state. And so I think some of the stuff that's gone on, 18 was ridiculous. 2022 was ridiculous.
18?
23 was ridiculous. Yeah, with
remind me
stomping on the field, the clothesline. Because you guys showed up 5 minutes late, and it's like you probably should have just gotten off the field. And MSU is like, hey, you missed your opportunity. Tough luck. And then neither side was willing to bash it. And then Devin Bush just tore up center field. Yeah. And then 22, obviously with the tunnel. 23, there was some real weird hits in that game. There's a spear that the dude got ejected for the game.
The state guy?
Your offensive lineman,
that was really bad. Yeah, that was really bad. Get him out.
Yeah, and and that's where 99% of MSU fans are at too, right? And then Michigan with Colson Loveland headbutting the guy back and them like facing off in a skirmish at the end of the game. And I believe there was a skirmish after 23 as well. So I'm just over all of that bullshit. You guys just stop. Like, I don't care who started it. He said mean words. He egged me on. Be a fucking, like, you're getting paid millions. Be fucking responsible. Take a deep breath. And look, if he punches you, good. Your team just got 15 yards. You don't have to react. Let the other team punch you. That's kind of my thing. Like, don't let the dirty shit go where they're like fucking putting helmets into like backs and stuff, and like that's not okay. But like, have someone rip someone's helmet. Like, I don't care. Like, take 15 and move on.
Yeah.
But yeah, there's also, like you said, Quist, weird stuff that goes on in this game extremely regularly, and that does make me a little nervous just on how this is, and especially with kind of the taste in your guys' mouth and your fans' mouth over the last 2 years, especially kind of what's went down. Or you got blown out, and then last year you guys dominated a large part of that game, and then the wheels just fell off.
For sure, yeah. Looking forward to the tailgate. It's a night game, big game green. Go green, wear green for us. Probably 80-20 fan split, KB. But honestly, this is the funnest tailgate of the year. It's the biggest tailgate. We get a bunch of Michigan fans. We all play nice. Obviously, we get that. But when it's go time, it's go time. So best of luck, KB. This is why we started the podcast, because of this week. And obviously, the last time we had a good time was 2021 in Heisman performance that didn't show up in New York, which is a bummer. But let's move to the rest of the week. First one, KB, is a fun one. This is a big American Conference game. South Florida goes to Memphis. 6-1. South Florida goes to Memphis. 6-1. They lost the game in conference, but still, it's a big game in the conference. The spread is 6.5 in favor of the Bulls. So a road dog for the road home dog, or home dog Memphis Tigers. Sorry, 6.5. This is a fun game, KB. Both these teams have been decent Power 5, Group of 5 teams, whatever you want to say it now with the expansion and changing of conferences. But after watching USF week after week and what they did to North Texas, I can't go against their quarterback, Brown. He is mobile. He can throw a decent ball. The defense flies all around. I love the coach. Honestly, he's on my short list for Michigan State if we do fire Smith. But I can see Memphis being tough. I don't know a lot about them, but this be a tough game. Over-under is 58.5. Could be a shootout. But knowing USF, their schedule, and the teams they've beaten, and I know they have a bad loss against Miami, but I like Byron Brown. I like this coach, and the defense flies around, and I think they're going all black. Not all black. I saw some cool like Halloween video for their uniform reveal. I'm not sure what they're wearing, but it should be a fun game in Memphis. I don't know if they cover, but I think USF wins just because their quarterback is too much. Go back and watch that North Texas game. They were like tied at halftime, and then all of a sudden they scored 3 quick touchdowns and beat the crap out of them.
Yeah, I'm taking USF here as well, riding with you on that, Quiz. Hopefully you don't agree all week. That'd be weird for hate week. Maybe I'll have to change one of these depending on where it lands. But no, Memphis had a really embarrassing loss last week. They lost to UAB, who fired their coach. Had a backup quarterback in, just a mess of a time, and they came out there and got pretty dominated. It was a 2-score game late in the fourth quarter. They scored a touchdown to make it a 1-score game. They recovered the onside. So there's just a pretty embarrassing performance, and sometimes that leads to really good bounce-back performances, but I just think USF is in a different stratosphere of ability. Memphis should have lost to Arkansas. They lucked into a win there pretty heavy. Arkansas was going in for the win and fumbled on like the 3-yard line, which they've done twice this year. How different of a season would that be if their defense could do anything and their offense didn't fumble at impromptu times? But I'm taking South Florida. Byron Brown there, my team when NCAA originally opened in our first dynasty, USF. And I like how this team moves. I think that they're just playing at a different level, especially in the trenches. I feel like they're really effective. They're a really tough team. They run into contact at times, which I really appreciate. So I'm taking South Florida.
They put up points too, KB. Besides their one loss, they put up 34. I mean, Florida 18. Then they got trounced 63, 54, 63, 48. They put up points. I don't know if Memphis can stop them. Probably putting up 30-plus points again. So that'll be a fun one. That's noon kick. That should be on at the tailgate. Lots open at 9 o'clock. Next game, 3:30 kick, KB. This is a good color game. Same colors pretty much. Big game for some SEC teams that have risen to the top. They've earned it. They've gotten there. Missouri. 15 Missouri goes to Vanderbilt. Both teams 6-1, 2-1 in conference. The spread is 2.5 for Vandy, so pretty much a neutral site, 0 even game here, KB. I want to hear your thoughts first. I think this is a great game, great coaches. Quarterback play is pretty good on both these guys, and just a pretty tough, hard-nosed SEC matchup.
Vandy,
okay.
Really cool that College Game Day is going there. I know a lot of people have complained about College Game Day being in the SEC a lot. I also in that camp, but they haven't been to Vandy in a really long time. This is a really cool experience for them. So we got to take in the context, right? That hopefully they don't go to another like Georgia game in a couple weeks and they maybe spread out their wings a little bit. But we got to kind of take that context too. No, Mizzou hasn't beaten anyone. Like I think we all kind of are forgetting what Mizzou is at this point. They played one pretty good team in Alabama, and they lost at home after having 5 straight games at home. They barely sneak by Auburn in 2 overtimes. And Auburn's offense, as we know, is pretty poor. And Vanderbilt is just a better team, I think, top to bottom than this Missouri team. I think this Missouri team has been pretty available the last couple of years on schedule, that they've just kind of lucked into the bottom half of SEC scheduling with conferences, especially the last 2 years. And so I think there's a huge opportunity here for Vandy to go get a win. I'm not drinking the drink of wits, if you will, so I'm taking Vandy.
I like that KB. We're agreeing too much here, but we're level-headed fans. We're smart here. I think Diego is a dog. I think he's kind of the difference in this game. He can do a lot. He runs around, just makes plays out of nothing. The skill guys around him are pretty good, and the defense has been tough, in my opinion. Obviously, that Bama loss is gonna sting a little bit. Mizzou has played some weird games. Let me look here. They beat South Carolina by 9. They lost to Bama by 3. Auburn game was close. Kansas kind of hung around with them. So, yeah, this seems kind of interesting. I think the offense kind of sputters at times as much as the defense is not too bad. And Bo Perbula, in the Bama game, just totally missed a guy wide open, which can happen. I know when you're in the moment. I can't imagine being a quarterback in a big
especially
college
first-year starter, right? First-year starter.
And being just like thinking about how your eyes would be, in a football game as a quarterback, it's overwhelming, crunch time. So just think about that sometimes, KB. Crazy. But I think Diego and this coach at Vandy, they are firing on all cylinders. Really curious to see what happens to Vandy after Diego is gone in his 20th year, because I think they joked that he was coming back for another year, but I don't think so, because it'd be like his 7th or 8th year. Get him out. That's too much. As much as I respect
Be an insurance salesman, just like every other good QB.
Or sell houses or something. Do something you got to do.
Realtor. Yeah.
But I like Vandy. I think this is a close game, though, KB. I think this might be kind of 30, high 20s, low 30s kind of game. Hard fought. I just think being at home helps. I think having Diego helps. This Vandy team could be a sleeper college football playoff team. I think it'd be fun to see them there. They've earned that the last couple of years. But Mizzou could give them a little bit of a punch in the side to see what they got. And maybe they got to do a game-winning drive or a field goal at the end. But I just think Diego and that defense is stingy enough to get the win at home. Any other thoughts? I have a
question for you. Yeah. There's this player, Zion Young. He has 5 sacks. Just imagine if MSU had a player like that. I feel like their season, especially their pass rush, would be in a much better place. Can you imagine? Oh, you did. We did.
We had Jeremy Bernard, too. We had, Mel Tucker was a decent recruiter until he fucked it away.
He was a decent something else.
Literally. But yeah, it's what also hurts, as I said earlier this year, KB, is that a lot of guys, when Smith came in, I don't think Zion Young, I think he was gone, but we lost a lot of guys in the spring after Smith came in the wintertime, which really sucks. And I know people get paid now and all that, but definitely could have some decent guys and decent talent on this team if we could have kept some guys around.
He did transfer in 24, Quiz, so I don't know if that was before or after the hire, but he would have been in that class that left.
I think it falls on that, and then it falls on a lot of people not wanting to pay guys at state. There's a lot of talk about NAL not being where it should be, but we'll see what happens when things change. I think July 1st is when profit sharing begins, which we'll talk about later. But let's go to the last game, KB, another SEC matchup. Undefeated, ranked 3rd, A&M, Texas A&M, our Jeff's team. Shout out, Jeff, if you're listening. 7:30 night game at LSU, Death Valley. I won't be watching this one because I'll be locked in. The spread, KB, is 2.5 in favor of Texas A&M, so home dogs in LSU. And we know how it goes here, KB. We hate Brian Kelly. Supposedly the seat is hot for him too right now because LSU doesn't like to lose. And Brian Kelly, let's be honest, KB, I'm looking straight in the camera. He's not a fit at LSU, okay? He killed a kid. Anyway, allegedly, and it was windy. And be better. And he's not nice to the press either, supposedly, on that one too. But Mike Elko in A&M, the 12th man, I know they're away. It's a weird game at LSU. Maybe that makes a difference, but I think they're too much. The quarterback's athletic. The defense is stingy as hell. And that's what makes a difference here. I don't, maybe LSU pulls it out of their ass. Nussmeier's been disappointing this year, and they've been decent on offense, but they just can't run that well. KB's got a thought. Let me hear it.
Sorry to interrupt you, but he had been battling through an oblique injury. I can't imagine trying to throw a football
Fair.
while battling through an oblique injury, and like you're taking hits, right? Like rotational sports rely on your oblique.
Oh, yeah.
And anytime it gets hit, right, anything like that, like baseball players will be out weeks, and you're like, for an oblique, it's because it's all rotational and you can't do a lot. And so he's been battling through that. He finally feels like he was 100% last week, and he had a good game against Vanderbilt. That's not why they lost. I think letting up 31 to Vanderbilt is probably like the crux of the issue. He was 19 of 28 for 225 and 2 TDs, but they got ran on for 239 yards. So back to this A&M thing. I didn't want to interrupt you, Chris, so I'll bounce back to you quick here. But like, do you think Marcel Reed? It's a huge road start. LSU, Death Valley is going to be jumping. Like, I know you said it could play into it a little bit. Like, I'm feeling a lot. Like, what's your full fleshed out thoughts on that?
I'm going to go A&M here, but this could be one of those games they lose, and they do it a lot.
Like a big blowout is like what I'm potentially thinking.
Oh my God, I hope
like,
not.
like where you get overwhelmed, right? You're on the road and a turnover happens, and then 3 turnovers, and before you blink, it's over.
Definitely could happen. And this is a game, as much as I'm picking A&M, this is a game where they've lost recently, where they're undefeated, they're having a good year, maybe they have a loss, and then they could kind of trip on something where a game they should win. And don't get me wrong, LSU's a good team. These are probably the 2 top, in the top 10, top 5 of 2 highest paid teams in the country, so they have the money and they're spending it. I just like Elko. I like this Texas A&M defense. Marcel Reed, hopefully, I think he's gonna have to step up. Maybe it's a late game. It's a weird game. I could see it being another shootout, weird A&M LSU game because that seems to happen. KB, but I would like to see A&M kind of shut them LSU up, and maybe Brian Kelly see it's even hotter. And we'll see what happens there. The coaching carousel could get crazy as we go on. And I know we talked about it a lot, KB, with transfers, and I texted you this week. The rule has changed. So when a coach gets fired, they cannot transfer that next Monday. The rule is now once they hire the new coach, you have 5 days after that to transfer. So everybody that gets fired right now, all the players will not be able to enter the portal till January 2nd, I think now, or 5 days after that. That's a portal windows per se. There's one window, then you can leave after they hire the new coach. So guys are not in the portal all the time during the season where things can get weird during the semester. Just want to make sure we knew the new rule. Once the second or new coach is hired, there's a 5-day window once they can transfer.
It'll likely be before that January window, right? Because a lot of people are going to hire people for bowl season, especially if your team makes it. I remember when Fickle coached Wisconsin and led them over Oklahoma State in his first ever coaching, because that wasn't before the bowl season. Because you got to get the coaches in, right? Before January would be more than apt, but with the transfer portal and all those opportunities, you got to get the coaches on campus so that they can talk to people. But yeah, I'm taking A&M. There's no way I'm rooting for this team. I don't like the coach. I don't like anything about the organization. And watching their downfall is, splendid. I think the wildest thing is that Brian Kelly got there, and there were some questions on offense following Joe Burrow. There's questions on this team, but leading up to Ed Orgeron, this has always been known as LSU. They ran the ball really hard, and they had an elite defense. DBU, they had so many good players, and I just feel like the defense has been disappointing now for years. And this defense has struggled. Now they've gotten better. They got the Weeks brothers that are running havoc or like causing havoc, but they're still not kind of over that threshold of playing really exceptionally good football, and they've been letting up some running games. So I think this is going to be a very conservative approach by A&M. I think it's going to pay dividends. I think you need to avoid turnovers, avoid the game getting out of control, because this is a game where A&M wins close or I think gets blown out. I don't think there's going to be like a LSU maintains control the entire time, because they just aren't playing consistent or good football right now. I think it could be like a turnover battle, and LSU's running away with it, and we're like, why did we ever think A&M was this good? Why did we even rank them this high? But I'm going to believe in A&M, the Aggies, and Jeff's boys, and I think that they're going to pull out a close win here. I think going on the road, I just think this A&M team, especially with Elko, is so locked in. But we have to be concerned about how this A&M team played defense a week ago, and we can't ignore that, right? So I do think there's some opportunities. Jeff mentioned that the starting left tackle for LSU is out, and this is the guy that, their one guy got drafted. He went to the Patriots, and their starter this year's out, so it's a third string, and they have a guy that's wrecking havoc on the defensive side of the ball. He's an undersized guy that transferred from Bowling Green. One second, I'm going to pull up his name.
For LSU or for A&M?
For A&M, Cassius Howell. He has 8 sacks on the season. He's a little bit undersized. He's 6'2", 240, I think. But he's a really good player. So be on a watch out for Cassius Howell.
Got it. Love it, KB. Any other thoughts or games you want to bring up before we get dialed in for kickoff at 7:30? What channel is it on, Fox? NBC.
NBC, yeah. It's the NBC late game. I might have to mute Gary Danielson, I believe. No. Who does that? Brett Nessler, maybe? I can't remember who does the late
Nessler?
Game. He was horrible when he did the Michigan USC.
You know who's
game.
not good right now? Gus Johnson. Gus Johnson says some weird shit that doesn't need to be said in a game.
He's lost his fastball a little bit for sure.
For sure. Anyway,
Ole Miss OU is a big game this week for both teams.
Yeah.
I mean, this will give one of them their second loss, which puts them on that bubble for making the postseason. OU has a murderer's row to finish the season, as we've previously talked about. Outside of that, I'm just really excited to see kind of how teams bounce back and forth this week. It's a little bit quieter week. Illinois traveling out to Washington is also a radar game. Illinois play good ball, but Washington is at home, and it's always difficult to travel out west. Also, UCLA's red hot, man, and they're going into Indiana. Does Indiana,
another 9 o'clock game for them?
How hot is UCLA? But no, in all honesty, I'm excited for this week. Excited to watch Michigan and MSU tee off. I think there's so much talk during these weeks that I'm just like hoping that the game gets here. It's always kind of like, yeah, there's talk, but just give me the football game. Let me see what happens on the field. And the last thing that I want to talk about, and again, I just want to say this, like, players, stop the bullshit. Stop the bullshit. I don't want to fight. I'm good with little scrums that are happening, like someone pushes a player a little hard
in the game, play, 60 minutes.
But within the line, yeah, as soon as the game ends,
shake hands.
Take your helmets off. Maybe don't shake hands, but don't fight. Like it's sad that that's the standard now. Like, hey, when the game ends, let's not start a brawl. But that's where we're at. And like usually it's fun. Usually it's like, oh, they started a brawl. Yeah, but that's happening in the game. Like it shouldn't be happening after the games. So that'd be my one thing that I really want to see. But with all that being said, I hope MSU loses by a billion. I don't see it happening because it's that weird funky game where Michigan is obviously the favorite, and that just always goes a little bit, awry for Michigan when they're in these situations. But with all that being said, go blue.
Yeah, KB, looking forward to being in East Lansing most of the day. 11 o'clock, kickoffs at 7:30. Always a good time. Looking forward to some cornhole and just being a nice, crisp fall day in East Lansing. There's not much better things in life when you're with your friends and family. So looking forward to that. I'll be texting KB through the day. I know he'll probably text me when we're in the stadium, but hard to interact when you're there. I'm looking forward to it, KB. Hopefully everybody's nice in the stadium. There'll probably be some chirping in the stands as well, but just looking forward to it. I would really love a win here just for the fan morale. I don't really care about Smith's job anymore. He can stay. He can go. It doesn't matter to me anymore because there's a lot going on and there's a lot of other things that could make this team better. So I'm looking forward to it as always. Battle for Paul is here. This is why we started this whole thing, KB. And as always for me, for a big game, go green kind of game, I'm going to say it one more time. Go green.